So we are going to start with Molière diagram, which gives us basically Molière diagram is to measure the efficiency of uh, thermodynamic system, or here like we are using the reliquefaction system. So it's little bit theoretical, and let's start. So first, before starting Molière diagram, we need to understand two terms, that is enthalpy and entropy. So let's see what is entropy and enthalpy. So entropy is your randomness of any molecules. That means how much the molecules are moving in any system. That is your randomness, or you can call it like chaos or disturbance in any system. And enthalpy is your heat content or energy content of any system, or you can say liquid or substance or molecules. So total energy content is your enthalpy, and entropy is your how much the molecules are moving. So if there is a chemical reaction taking place in a substance, from initial stage to final stage, if the temperature or heat energy is increased, then we will say the enthalpy is increased. And if it is decreased, then we'll say the enthalpy is decreased. And like solids, for entropy, solids will have least entropy because molecules are moving less, and gases will have most entropy because molecules are moving randomly much more. So let's understand with diagrams. So entropy is randomness, disorder, or chaos. So let's see with the example of water. If you have solid ice or water, this is an ice cube, and we have liquid water. So which one do you think will have more on entropy, or which one in which substance molecules can move more easily? Of course, in solid, the molecules are very closely packed and they have less entropy, can move less, and their molecules are more organized. So its substance is same, but in different states, same substance will have different entropies or different randomness of molecules or different movement of molecules. So as you can see, water can move more, and solids comparatively move less, have less entropy. So this is the main uh, thing about entropy. So then we will see the enthalpy. Enthalpy is the energy content of your chemical system or any substance. So if we see that in a chemical reaction, like you can say for water mixing with anything, or changing from one state to another. So initially this chemical reaction has enthalpy or energy. So we have enthalpy. This is an enthalpy curve in respect to time. So this initially is solid and it has some heat content, this water or ice cube, and it starts melting. It gains some energy from outside, so enthalpy is increased, and slowly, because of the reaction, the enthalpy reduces, and it in final stage, the enthalpy is less, or the heat energy of the system is less. So when we measure the difference in enthalpy, we can measure that how much work is energy is produced or reduced, or how much work is done, or and that ways we can measure the efficiency, the work done, or the efficiency, or the heat exchange. So this is how roughly in this, how with entropy and enthalpy we can measure the efficiency of the system of our refrigeration cycle or something. So then let's see. I hope enthalpy and entropy is clear. So there are some numericals and all, but we don't need to go into this. Just we have to understand the simple basic concept. So now let's see how do we draw a pressure enthalpy chart, and what are the parts of it, and for a general pressure enthalpy chart, and then we will see how it works on the real efficient plant. So we have the x-axis and y-axis. We draw the graph. The y-axis is the pressure of a liquid or substance or water, whatever you can take. We are just seeing the general diagram. Different substances will have different diagrams. So we have different pressures: zero point 0.1, 1 grams, 10 grams, sorry, bars, zero point 0.1 bar, 1 bar, 10 bar, 100 bars. So 1 bar is 1 atmosphere. So in comparison to that, we have it. Then x-axis, we have enthalpy, the heat content of the substance in kilojoules per kilogram of the refrigerant or any coolant. Then we have this bell-shaped curve, which is angled to the right. So enthalpy is 0, 100, 200, 300. So left side of this curve is your saturated liquid. So before this curve, the liquid will be in the saturated state or subcooled liquid, and it will be 100% liquid. Then the right side of the curve, we have a saturated vapor curve, and right side of the curve will be totally vapor or gas or some the liquid, the substance will be totally converted into vapors, and it will be in the superheated vapor state. And at the top of this is will be a critical point above which pressure or temperature, the liquid and vapor cannot exist together. Then we have some different temperatures of the substance: -50, -40, 0, 20, 30. And horizontally in line, we have the temperatures. So this is how we roughly draw the molar diagram or pressure enthalpy chart. So what is all this like? We are seeing a liquid substance. Liquid substance. Let's see with this. So suppose we are here, and this liquid uh, refrigerant, coolant, substance, water, whatever it is at some 100 bar. So at that pressure, it is 100% liquid. And it the moment we start reducing the pressure, and the temperature is also reduced, and it reaches a stage where it starts turning into vapors. So some part of liquid starts turning into vapor at very low pressures. Suppose at atmospheric pressure, some gases like natural gas at atmospheric pressure, it will be start turning into vapors even at -40 temperature. And it will keep turning into vapor, keep turning into vapor. The liquid will keep turning into vapors up to a certain stage where almost 100% of the liquid will be turned into vapors. After this stage, the temperature and pressure starts dropping, and the gas starts expanding more. So like this liquid has these different curves are there. These are the temperature lines, you can say. The liquid travels at different temperatures like this. So these are the temperature lines. We have dotted some pressure lines. We have seen that this is the subcooled 100% liquid, uh, and what you call vapor mixture, and then here we have only superheated vapors. So let's see further what are the other things in your molar or pH enthalpy chart. Then from this, the right hand curve, we have this entropy lines or the randomness of the lines. So all the entropy lines are also going towards the right, angle towards the right. These are the constant entropy lines. So at any point of these lines, the entropy or randomness or disturbance of these vapors or gases will be same. So these are the temperature lines of the temperature curves. Then we have the quality lines of fraction of dryness lines, which basically means that how much percentage of vapors is there in this liquid vapor. So initially there will be 10% vapors formed, and 20% vapors formed, and 30%, 40%, and 90, and finally 100% vapor is formed along all this curve, and rest you have 100% vapor. So it's called dryness fraction, or how much vapors is there. So these are the conditions of refrigerant in different states which are mentioned here. So now we will see that in the refrigeration cycle, how it is connected, or how we can represent on the pressure enthalpy chart, and then how we understand it on this pressure enthalpy chart, and how the efficiency is measured in this. So you know the normal simple refrigeration cycle with four components: evaporator, compressor, condenser, and evaporation valve. And E, A, B, C, D is the cycle with the numbers. So this diagram we will impose on the pressure enthalpy chart. So we draw the pressure enthalpy chart like we draw before, and then we will draw this bell curve with all the things which we had in the previous diagram. We will draw, or you can assume here, and then we will draw this same cycle of refrigeration cycle on this. So you can say, suppose here you have the evaporator starting, that is around point E. Then we reach the compressor. Then we have the constant entropy curve. Then we have a horizontal line on the top till it meets the saturated liquid curve, and the liquid saturated in the condenser, and then it expands and reaches again to the evaporator line, where at constant temperature also the evaporation is taking place. And we keep mark as per the refrigeration cycle, as we have on the left side: E, A, B, C, and D. So these all letters are corresponding to this. So EA is the evaporator. So in the evaporator, at the temperature, with the same temperature, the liquid is keep with the surrounding heat. On the, like on the gas carrier, it's keep changing into the vapors as in the tank. And then from A, that is the compressor, the pressure is increased, and you can see the temperature is also increased, and the entropy of the system is remaining same. It's a constant entropy line. Then it is desuperheated, and then it condenses from C to D. Then from D, in the condenser, it's changed to 100% liquid, and then from liquid it is allowed to expand. The pressure reduces, temperature reduces, and the gas goes back to the tank. So the refrigerant or boil of gas, when it moves from the evaporator, it absorbs heat from the surrounding, and all the uh, whatever liquid is there starts changing into vapor, and that's your main cooling process in the tank. So before this, it was in the saturated vapor state, or now it is unsaturated vapor state or unequilibrium, and hence it is changing to what you call trying to balance by changing into vapors and cooling down. So you can see the pressure difference in this stage from E to D. So when you, as per thermodynamics, when you take fresh vapor and you convert into liquid, it follows a constant entropy curve like this one, A to B. When the vapor is compressed, the entropy remains same. So we have this constant entropy curve. And then after compressing, the vapors are in superheated regions. Then you, when you move from, you start condensing, it moves from superheated to de-superheated state, and the superheat is, or the main heat is removed, and then it keeps condensing and it reaches to keep changing into liquid. The heat is taken away by the condenser. Same stage here. So heat is going away, like we have seen, it can be by nitrogen in your LNG reliquefaction plant, or just a normal seawater condenser, or like that in a general reliquefaction plant. And by the time the liquid is leaving the condenser, it is in 100% liquid or super saturated liquid or subcooled liquid state. Now from point D, which is at a high pressure, it allows to expand, and in the expansion valve, and the pressure and temperature will drop, and again the gas will reach into the tank. The boil of gas will return to the tank. So this is an adiabatic process from D to E, but the enthalpy or the heat of the system remains the same. That's why we have this vertical line from D to E. And this cycle will keep continuing. So after D to E, you can see the liquid is again expanding to changing into some part of the vapor state, and most of the liquid enters in the tank, and some vapors expanded and cooled will enter into the tank, and that liquid again will keep evaporating, and then the cooling will keep taking place. So this is how a refrigeration system can extract heat from one and discharge to other location. And if you measure the enthalpy in this, you can get the efficiency of the system. So these are the different enthalpies of the system in the evaporation state and the compression state and your what you call condensation state. So at E, A and B, you measure the enthalpy H1, H2 and H3. You take the difference and you find out the efficiency or work done or performance of the system. And with that, we are using to construct and make the reliquefaction plants. So this is the general pressure enthalpy chart, which actually is there. This is for a steam system for checking the efficiency of a feed water system in a steam system. And you have a similar construction. You can see the pressures and the constant temperature lines, the dryness fraction lines, the constant entropy lines, and it's a subcooled liquid changing into vapor and then again vapor. And we have the enthalpy here. So similar diagram we can construct, and then on this we can superimpose, say on the same diagram, we can superimpose this, what you call refrigeration cycle, or we can make it on the same. So this is our same refrigeration cycle, evaporation, compression at A, B is your starting of condenser from B to D, and C till B to C is superheat is removed, and then C to D condensation, and from D to E expansion. And same diagram basically as per this we have to study for double stage or two stage this compression or reliquation cycle. So let's see how we will draw that curve. So similar diagram is your what you call a two-stage compression reliquation cycle. Actually, this your two-stage compression reliquation cycle is like this, same on your pressure diagram, uh, where you have this evaporation and then first stage of compression and then condensation, then again compression and then desuperheating, condensation and expansion, and whatever some gas is left after expansion, it can again go back to the compression stage, and left liquid can go into the evaporator. So same thing we superimplode on this pressure enthalpy diagram, and you can see from the evaporator it goes to the compressor, compressed, and then what you call condensed or in the pre-cooler, intercooler, and then compressed again, and then desuperheated, and then C to D condensed, and from D to E, it is again expanded in the expansion wall. If any gas is left, it goes back to the system. So this is the two-stage uh, reliquation cycle represented on your pH enthalpy chart, or similar to your Mollier diagram. So that's all about the Mollier diagram, which as per this we are supposed to know.